And my friends, we're picking up where we left off in part 1 of this Q&A on Thursday. So if you have not had a chance to catch up on part 1, I will make sure to have it linked in the info box for you. We have already gone through many of your Hermes/luxury questions, and we have a lot more to get through. We're going to be chatting about some of my favorite discontinued Hermes bags, what bags to buy on the Preloved market and which ones to avoid, whether or not more popular bags like the Mini Kelly are worth buying on the Preloved market, even with the premium. And then we have quite a few more personal questions that I promised I would answer at the end of this video. So if you would like to get to know me a little bit better, make sure you stay tuned until the very end. But I should stop rambling and get into your questions because we still have plenty to get through. So if this sounds interesting to you and you'd like to hear my thoughts on anything and everything Hermes, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and keep on watching. Okay, let's move on to some of your questions that you left on YouTube. So the first question is, if you could keep only one Hermes item from each category, what would they be? Just started the journey. So if I could only keep one Hermes item, let me think. So shoes, I would definitely stick with one of my Hermes boots. I think Hermes boots are incredibly underrated. People always go on and on about the Oran, the sheep, the bounce sneakers, which, you know, if you like the way they look, you enjoy them, but Hermes boots I think is where it's at. So whether you prefer something a little bit more formal like a pair of Chelsea boots or something more casual like the fresh ankle boots from Hermes, they are the ones that I would not overlook. So I would probably keep one of my Hermes Chelsea boots or maybe my riding boots. Those are a pair that I really do like. Moving on to, I don't even know what else there is. Ready to wear, I do love my reversible wool/cashmere blend sweater that I bought from Hermes last year that features the stripe detail on the front and also on the back. I have gotten a ton of wear out of that piece. When it comes to fine jewelry, I love my Shantung ring and also my Gallop ring. I also would not want to part ways with my Be Happy bracelets, especially when it comes to the double tour version. I think that again is an extremely underrated and underappreciated piece from Hermes when it really adds so much to an outfit. I don't exactly know what it is about that really simple design, but you can style it with the most basic simple outfit, a pair of jeans and a white or black t-shirt. As soon as you put that piece on, it just ties everything together so nicely. If you like silk scarves, Hermes silks are just unmatched. The quality, the craftsmanship, the artistry, the prints really make them look and feel like a piece of art. So an Hermes silk scarf in size 90 is definitely something that I would invest in. And then when it comes to my homeware collection from Hermes, which is really quite expensive, my Hermes mugs are things that I use every single day. And then the tarte platter, which I always go on about, is again something that I would highly encourage you to look into because it's something that you can use anywhere around your home to infuse a little bit of Hermes into your life. I feel like you're one of the only luxury YouTubers who doesn't exaggerate what they buy/spend. I'm not sure about that, but thank you. That's very sweet of you to say. Can you share more tips on how not to overspend? Of course, it's something that I have done dedicated videos on. So I'm really quickly going to run you through some of my tips that I have shared before. So make sure you have a wish list and you try to stick to it. So try to go through your collection every single season, see what are the pieces that you are getting your money's worth out of and what are the things that you're no longer using. Try to identify gaps in your collection and how you can best fill those. And then make sure that you have a running wish list in your notes on your phone, so whenever there is something that you see that you like the look of, you don't immediately buy it, but you put it on your wish list and spend at least a couple of days, if not a couple of weeks, thinking about it before you actually pull the trigger and add it to your collection. And once you have identified the gaps and anything that you feel like your collection needs, all of those things can go into your wish list. So whenever you see something, you can compare if it's something that your collection actually needs or not. So wish listing is something that has been incredibly helpful. I have talked about this before, but a new habit that I'm trying to Adopt is making sure that anytime I spend, I also save. So whenever I buy something that's a more frivolous luxury purchase, I set an identical amount of money aside in my savings account. So if I buy something that's $1,000, I have to make sure that I put $1,000 into my savings account. And if I see something and I cannot afford to spend the money on it twice, by buying it and then putting the same amount into my savings account, I'm not letting myself buy it. I have always had this rule that I never want to spend my last dollar on a luxury purchase, but this is really forcing me to really spend that money twice. And hopefully, it is something that I am able to stick to. So far, it's going strong, but I'll definitely come back to you and give you an update on how it's worked out at the end of the year. And then something I haven't talked about before, but is something that I had to do is I had to delete all the shopping apps from my phone. So if you have any retailer apps on your phone, if you have any brands that do their own application that you have downloaded on your phone, you want to make sure that you either delete those or you have your notifications turned off. And another trap that I always fall into is getting newsletters from different brands about new launches, any sales and discounts. So something that I'm really, really bad at and I spend way too much money on is activewear. I mean, I do live in activewear and I justify those purchases because I live in these things and I know that those are things that I actually wear and use, but I cannot tell you how much money I have spent on Alo in the past couple of months. The same goes for Lululemon. And to be really honest with you, I have been toying with the idea of doing a comparison video on some of these more high-end activewear lines, so Alo, Lululemon, even activewear from brands like Balenciaga, and I'm really not sure if it's something that you would be open to seeing from me, but if you would, please let me know in the comment section, because if you wear as much activewear as I do, I think it's a video that you would find really helpful because there are certain things that I love from Alo, but other things that I really don't think are worth your hard-earned money. The same goes for Lululemon and all the other brands out there. So if that's a video idea that you would like to see from me, please make sure to let me know in the comment section because I would love to do that video for you. Anyway, the reason I brought that up is because Alo is a brand that sends so many emails and they always get me with them. So if there are any other brands that you are very tempted by, make sure that you unsubscribe from their newsletters. Or if you use Gmail, it's really quite simple because Gmail does an amazing job sorting your emails. So you'll have your primary inbox, then you'll have a tab that's for promotional emails, and then I think they have a tab for social things. So if you get an email from Instagram or Facebook or whatever social platforms you use, that will be sorted in a different folder. You can choose just not to look at your promotional folder, or if that's too tough for you, make sure that you select these emails and send them to spam or just unsubscribe so you don't get notifications from them on a regular basis, because these are the things that will get you onto their site. And once you're on there, it's really hard for some of us to come off the site without buying something. So the brands that always get me are actually not the brands that are the most expensive, but little purchases do add up. But Skims sends a ton of emails and I love their things and I would not want to stop buying Skims, but I don't need to hear from them on a daily basis. The same goes for Alo and Lululemon. So these are the brands that I have spent a crazy amount of money on. And at this point, I just had to unsubscribe from all their newsletters because anytime I get an email, okay, not anytime because it's not like I buy something every single day, but I have been buying something new every single week. And at this point, it needs to stop because they're really just not things that I need to be spending money on. So make sure that you unsubscribe from mailing list and that you delete any apps and turn off notifications because those are things that can really easily draw you in. And if you have a hard time resisting impulse purchases, honestly, don't go shopping, or when you go shopping, don't take your credit card. Make sure that you have your credit cards deactivated on your phone. If you really have a hard time resisting and you want to make sure that you're not going to be spending any money, have a rule that your credit card either doesn't go with you or it doesn't come out of your bag. And just have a wish list and make sure that you stick to it the best you can. And if you see something that perhaps is not on your wish list, but you're really tempted by, take a picture of it and spend a couple of days thinking about it before adding it to your collection. And I know it sounds really strict and it can take the fun out of shopping, but if you still want to make more frivolous impulse purchases, have a budget that you're comfortable just playing with, whether that's $100, $1,000, or $10,000 a week. That comes down to your personal financial goals and your personal financial situation, but it doesn't mean that this way of living cannot be fun. But yeah, I feel like I am a lot more conscious of not only my spending but also my finances that I have ever been, and that might be because I am slowly, I'm not going to be 30 this year yet, but I'm turning 30 next year. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it is just me going back to school, but I am really trying to be a very conscious luxury consumer. But moving on to another Hermes question, favorite discontinued Hermes bag? What an interesting question. So I have two. Especially when it comes to this time of year, I always love the look of the So Kelly bag. It's not a bag that I own or I would ever own because it is a bucket bag, which I don't personally think suits me, but it is one of the most beautiful shapes that I have ever seen from Hermes. And it's beautiful not because it's eye-catching or it's anything revolutionary, but I just love this take on the Kelly twist closure. I think it is one of the most unique takes on that particular bag. And it's a bag that has been out of production for many years, and you could find this for pennies on the pre-loved market, at least compared to other Hermes bags. Now, since more people know about it, the price has been also increasing on the pre-loved market. But if you like a really simple, casual, laid-back bucket bag style, this is a great bag for you to add to your collection. If you are looking for a workhorse bag, this would be an incredible piece to have in your arsenal. And then there's another Hermes bag. Well, we have talked about the Constance 29. That is another discontinued bag that I really like the look of, which is a large oversized take on the original Constance. It's in size 29, whereas most Constance bags that you're familiar with are going to be 18 and 24 centimeters. The Constance 29 was obviously a lot bigger, and instead of it featuring a long adjustable shoulder strap, it came with a much shorter strap that only really allowed you to carry this bag either over your shoulder, handheld, or held by its handle almost as a briefcase, or you could grab the bag and hold on to it as you would hold on to a clutch. That was a great bag, especially because it came with tone-on-tone hardware, so it made the H a lot more subtle and understated. And then there is another bag from Hermes, which I think that bag launched in 2010, 2011. It was available in Swift and printed silk, and it featured this incredible Shandong chain inspired detail. Was it called the Catherine bag? No, it started with a CAT Katerina bag, something along those lines. I'll make sure to put in a picture of it up here. It is one of the most comparable bags from Hermes to the Chanel double flap, because people always compare the Constance to the double flap, which to me, those are not bags that can be mentioned on the same page. They will add completely different facets to your collection. But if you're looking for a more formal looking bag that you can of course also dress down, a bag that features a flap and also a chain detail, this is a great bag for you to look into. It's no longer in production by Hermes, but I'm pretty sure you can still find this on the pre-loved market every now and again. So that was another really beautiful bag in my opinion. But the So Kelly, I have to say, is one of my favorites, even though it's not a bag that I would ever buy for myself, but I really do enjoy the look of it. Really torn about starting the Hermes game. Bought a piece of fine jewelry, but not sure if I should continue down the path, but now feel guilty wasting that sizable pre-spend if not. Thoughts versus just buying resale? That is a great question. I think it really depends. If you have an interest for Hermes pieces other than their bags, if you are drawn to the brand because of the aesthetic, because of the craftsmanship, if you find designs and styles that you really like the look of, I would highly suggest exploring more of the brand. If you're only there because you want to get a bag and you have very specific criteria, if there is a really specific bag that you have in mind and you want it now, if you want to get your hands on it quickly, getting something on the pre-loved market or the resale market is the way to go these days, in my opinion, as long as you do your due diligence and you make sure that you only buy from places that you can 100% trust. I think there's nothing wrong with buying pieces from the pre-loved market, especially if you want something that is more popular. Obviously, you are going to pay an upcharge, but in most cases, I think it will make sense to get things on the pre-loved market, considering how much time you're going to save and how much money you can save. Because yes, some of these more popular pieces will be extortionately expensive on the pre-loved market. Some of these will set you back 2-3 times the amount than how much they would cost you to get them directly from the store. But don't forget how much time and money you will have to spend to build a rapport that's good enough for you to be offered one of these more hyped pieces. So that's not something that you should forget and overlook. So if there is really nothing else that you're after, if you're not interested in building a long-term relationship with the brand, you just want to get a single bag or two, there's nothing wrong with buying pieces on the pre-loved market. It just really depends if you are interested in more of what Hermes has to offer. And then before we move on to some of your more personal questions, we have a question here on exotic touch Birkins. I was offered a Birkin 25 touch in black lizard and Togo with gold hardware. Congratulations, that is an amazing combination. I passed, but been thinking about it ever since. I can't blame you because it is really an eye-catching bag. Now, I did at one point do an in-depth video on touch bags, because if you're not familiar with the Touch line, it's a collection of bags that launched, at this point, it's been like 7-ish years. Has it been that long? Yeah, I would say like 6 or 7 years. And the idea behind these bags was that they added a touch, as the name suggests, a touch of exotic to regular Hermes bags. And they basically got you to halfway of owning a full-on exotic bag. So touch bags are not only available in Birkins, but also Kelly's and other bags like the Lindy even. And they will usually feature a small portion of the bag that is made from exotic skin. So for example, a Birkin 25 comes in the touch version, it comes in lizard, which is a relatively new addition to this lineup, but it also comes in both matte and shiny alligator. On a Birkin, you do get quite a bit of exotic leather because the handles will be crafted from exotic skin. The flap is also made of exotic. And then I think the clochette is also made of exotic leather. Previously on the Kelly bags, the very first iteration of the touch line, it was only the handle that was made of exotic leather. I think there were some where the straps was also made of exotic skin, but these days it's not only the handle on the Kelly bags, but also the sangos are things that will feature exotic details. Now, when it comes to a Birkin 25 in touch, these bags are really quite expensive, and because the idea is that they will get you to halfway through the journey of owning an exotic bag. They'll usually be twice the price of a regular Hermes Birkin, but half the price of how much this bag would cost you if they were fully crafted from exotic skin. I remember doing the math for my original video, and it worked out perfectly for bags that are made of alligator. Most Birkin 25s that featured a matte alligator touch detail were twice the price of a regular Birkin, but were half the price of a full-on exotic bag, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if the math works out for a lizard bag because obviously it is slightly less expensive, but that's basically the idea. You are going to be paying quite the premium for a little bit of exotic leather. Now, when it comes to a touch bag, I personally really don't think that they are worth the money, especially when it comes to a Birkin, and I'll tell you why that is. When it comes to a Birkin bag, the only way for you to carry it is to hold on to the handles, which is one of the details that will feature exotic leather. So you pretty much cover up the majority of that exotic detail. When it comes to a Birkin, most people carry it with the flap tucked in the bag, so you will not see the flap either, which features that exotic detail. And then I think the sangos are also made of exotic leather, so I guess you have that. But if you have a Birkin fully open, you only see a really small portion of the sangos themselves. So I really don't think that you get enough for your money to justify the price. I think if you're drawn to exotic bags, you're much better off saving your money a little bit longer and getting a flown exotic bag. Or if you never see yourself spending, $50,000 on a flown exotic bag, this can get you there. So it just really depends on your expectations and your goals. If you are, or if you ever see yourself spending the money on a flown exotic bag, I personally would not waste your money on this. But if you're not comfortable spending that much money, but you would like a little bit of an exotic sprinkle in your life, this could be something for you to consider. So, that's what I would keep in mind. Personally, I would not do it. I would much rather save my money and get a full-on exotic bag. The same goes for a Kelly. With Kellys, the upcharge is not going to be quite as drastic because you don't get nearly as much exotic leather. These days, you only get a tiny bit of exotic on the handle and another touch on the sangles. Whereas when it comes to the Birkin, obviously you do have two top handles, you have the flap, you have the sangles, and you also have the clochette. So if you got a touch Birkin, you could also choose to use the flap instead of having it tucked in the back to show off that exotic detail. But again, it just really depends. I definitely feel your pain and why you're torn because it is a hard decision to make. If it's something that you'll continue thinking about and you really don't see yourself ever buying a flown exotic bag, you could always ask if it's still around. I unfortunately don't think that it is, but that's one way of looking at it. Do you ever see yourself buying a full-on exotic bag? If not, a touch will kind of get you there. But if you would be open to one day saving up for a bag that is 100% made of exotic leather, this is really not something that I would spend the money on because I don't think you get enough bang for your buck. And if you have made it this far, thank you for sticking with me. As promised, I'm going to answer some of your more personal questions. So if you're only here to listen to me ramble on about luxury fashion, I appreciate you being here. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and I'll see you back here with a new video. But if you would like to learn a little bit more about me, I do have some questions here from Instagram and also YouTube, which I will run through really quickly because I think we've been here for quite a while. So let me start with this favorite skincare / fragrance. I do have an entire video on my skincare routine, which really hasn't changed. I mean, I do play around with products, but the ethos and the steps themselves really don't change. Something new that I've been really loving is the new Strawberry Glossier Lip Balm, which is slightly tinted. So if you don't like a tinted lip balm, it's not something that you'll enjoy, but I've been wearing it ever since it launched and no one's ever pointed out that my lips look too pink, and I love the flavor. It has a really artificial strawberry candy-like flavor, which I really like, and I do love the Glossier lip balms. And if you didn't know this, they have recently brought back the original Glossier lip balm formulation, which is a little bit thicker and more Vaseline-like, which I happen to enjoy because I find that they really nicely hydrate my lips. I think they changed not only the packaging a couple of years ago, but also the formula itself because they wanted to make it vegan, but I know a lot of people didn't enjoy it. So the original Glossier formula is back and I do love the new strawberry flavor. So that's a new addition to my collection, and I have been really enjoying the honey oud scent from Florist, which is not a new scent, but I have recently gone back to using it because I do love my ouds and my honey scents. Those are probably my two favorite notes when it comes to fragrances. So that's something I've been wearing. And then there is a fragrance that I am really eager to try, but it's more of a niche fragrance brand and I've been really struggling to find it online. There is a fragrance called Matte Honey, which I am dying to try. So if you are, I think it's a Korean brand. If you're familiar with this brand or this particular scent, would you mind sharing your thoughts with me? Because it's something that I really do want to try. But honey oud is something that I've been really enjoying as a new recommendation. If you like more dark, extremely rich and deep scents that will linger and just envelop you, that is something that you will really enjoy. And then the strawberry lip balm from Glossier, I would highly recommend trying. And while you're on Glossier, of course, get there is a barrier cream that I love from them that I wear every single night. If you're looking to boost your Glossier card so you get free shipping, I can leave some of my favorites down below, but I do love their jelly cleanser, their lip balm, and the barrier cream is one that I always go back to. If you have sensitive skin, it is a must-have. It's basically like having a band-aid for your skin. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now, career-wise? As I mentioned in my last two videos, I am going back to school in September to get my second bachelor's in clinical psychology, which is going to take me 3 years, after which I have to get another master's in clinical psychology if I want to start practicing as a psychologist, which is actually going to take me 5 years. So I'm hoping that in 5 years, I'll be able to start practicing in a clinical setting. And really my goal with getting this second degree is to be able to help people. When I think about my life and every single job I've had throughout the years, like the first job I ever had when I worked for someone else when I was in college, I worked at a luxury concept store. When I lived in Scotland, we were asked to get an internship, and really the only way for you to get a fashion internship or a fashion job is to work in retail. And there was a single luxury store in the town where I lived, and I got a job there. And honestly, it was one of my favorite jobs. I loved working with people on a regular basis. And since then, every single job I've ever had, my most favorite aspect and facet of my job was when I got to help others. I did some volunteering last year where I volunteered at a home. And once a week I would make breakfast for the people who lived there. I would help feed some of them who could not feed themselves. And we would just play together. We would play puzzles and talk as much as we could. We could not have full-on conversations, but yeah, it was just an incredibly rewarding experience, and really helping people is what I find brings me the most joy. So I'm hoping that I get to work with not only adults, but also kids who went through trauma. Trauma is something that I'm incredibly interested in. And if one day I could help people in any way who suffered from trauma, is something that is a big goal of mine. So I'm hoping that I'll get to do that in a few years. But even doing YouTube is something that I find incredibly rewarding. You know, I've been doing this for 4 years, and if I didn't truly love this, I wouldn't have continued doing it. But the community that we have cultivated and built here, I'm just so incredibly grateful for, because you know, I feel like you guys are just so amazing. And if I get to add any value to your life, that's also something that I'm really proud of. And I don't see myself stopping YouTube anytime soon. In fact, a lot of people ask me, a lot of my personal friends have asked me, are you going to stop doing YouTube when you go back to school? And the answer is definitely I am not. I'm going to do school and YouTube simultaneously. I might have to cut back at the very beginning. I might have to go down to posting maybe once a week just for the first couple of months until I'm able to set up a routine, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be around. So hopefully 5 years from now, I'll still be here doing YouTube. I'm not sure if I'll be talking strictly and only about luxury. There are a couple of other things that I would love to sort of bring into my content, but I would love to hear what you would be open to and what it is that you would like to see from me. But I'm not going anywhere. I am going to be here hopefully in 5 years, as long as you guys are interested in watching my videos and YouTube is around. It's something that I really do love doing. Then the next question is, do you think you would like to have children someday, or does your life feel fulfilled without going in that direction? Yes, I mean, I'm already a dad. I already have Pi, who I love very much. So I always say that he's my firstborn, but I have always seen myself being a dad. I would love to have one kid, and I would love to adopt one day. I've always seen myself being a dad since I was very young. Obviously now I'm single, and I never thought that I would ever be a single dad, but you know, it's something that I have always wanted, that I have always dreamt of, and I would love to have a kid with someone. But if I don't get to do it with someone, I'll do it on my own, because it's been a dream of mine for many years. It's something that I have always envisioned as part of my future. So yeah, I hope I'll get to be a dad in a few years. I don't want to be an older parent, but I don't see myself having a kid while I'm in school. But hopefully once I'm out of school, and maybe when I find someone that I would feel comfortable sharing the amazing responsibility of having a baby with, I would love to. So yes, I do see myself being a dad, and I already have a name picked out. I've had a name picked out for years at this point. So yeah, I would love to be a dad one day. And since we are on the topic of having a baby with someone, we have another question here, which again is quite personal, but I mean, we're amongst friends. When it comes to finding a new relationship, are you open to being set up on a blind date by your friends, or would you rather leave it up to fate and wait until someone crosses path with you randomly? Honestly, I'm pretty open. I mean, I've been single for a year and a half at this point. I dated someone more seriously for a few months last year. And the thing is, I'm not a casual dater. When I date someone, I date them seriously. I was gonna say I'm not someone who enjoys going on first dates, but I really do because I love meeting people. I love hearing about their experiences and their lives. I'm really not someone who's very anxious about going on first dates. I'm okay to go on a first date, but to go on a second date for me it really takes a lot because I'm not someone who will just casually date someone for fun. That's just not simply who I am. If that's someone else's cup of tea, I have no judgment whatsoever. But honestly, my friends need to put a little bit more work into this because I have not been set up on many blind dates, but I would be open to the idea. The big difference that I'm finding when it comes to my own dating journey is that when I was younger, I always felt that I needed to be in a relationship, whereas now I feel like I don't need to be in a relationship. I do want to be in one, but if the right person doesn't come around, if I don't find the right person, I'm perfectly fine being on my own. I really just have such a beautiful and full life that I'm so incredibly grateful for that I'm not, sitting at home waiting for someone to come into my life. If someone does, I'd be really, really grateful for it. But if they don't, I really am extremely happy with what I already have. But honestly, I'm open to being set up on blind dates. And if I bump into Mr. Right one day, I will be just as happy. And then this is such a cute question. Can you share a fun fact about you? A fun fact about me. This is right in front of me. I drink everything with a straw. This is a weird thing, but I will not drink any. I mean, if I'm at home, I'll drink even water with a straw. But if I'm out, I'll drink anything that's colored. So the only things that I really drink are Diet Coke and tea. Those are things that I will strictly drink with a straw. I'm that person who will sit at a fancy hotel or a fancy lounge drinking a cup of tea with a long straw because I spend so much time. Money is one thing, but I spend so much time having my teeth bleached and they're still not where I would want them to be that I am not risking them getting stained. And yeah, I don't drink anything without a straw, and it's always a topic of conversation when it comes to me meeting a new friend or a new person. There was like, oh, why are you drinking a cup of hot tea with a straw? And I always had to explain, I had my teeth bleached, whatever. And yeah, I drink everything with a straw. So if you ever have me over at your house and you're serving tea or you're serving Diet Coke, please have a straw for me. But usually I carry my own straw because I do like a very thin glass straw. So I guess I am quite high maintenance when it comes to consuming my different liquids. And what is your favorite meal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? I'm a creature of habit when it comes to eating. And every morning for breakfast, I have a couple slices of toast with almond butter and sugar-free jam. For lunch, I usually have rice and chicken. And for dinner, I usually do the same, or I'll do a big bowl of salad with chicken. I am a very, very picky eater. The list of things that I eat are much shorter than the list of things that I don't eat. So yeah, I eat some sort of chicken breast prepared in some shape or form every single day, but I'm really not a foodie. That's the thing. I love to spend a lot of money on shopping, on traveling. I love staying at nice hotels, but food is really the one thing that brings me no joy whatsoever. So you can save quite a bit of money by going out for dinner with me because I'm really not someone who enjoys a very expensive meal, although I do like a nice steak. So I do enjoy going to nice steakhouses, but other than that, that is it. And I think these are all the questions that we had time for today. If you're still here watching, I really, really appreciate you. And if you enjoyed it and you'd like to see more videos like this from me, make sure to give this a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I cannot wait to see you back here with a new video next week. I think we're going to be talking about new fine jewelry launches, which is definitely not a video that you want to miss. So I'll see you back here with a new video next week, and in the meantime, have an amazing weekend.